Nobody's gonna say this, but we still live in a society where women have to learn how to survive men instead of men learning how to respect women. In today's episode, we are gonna talk about domestic violence, and to do this, we have two very special guests with us. We have firstly Lauren Lim, Deputy CEO of Singapore Council of Women Organisation, SCWO for short. And we also have Paige Parker, board member of SCWO and co-chair of the Star Shelter. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
No worries. Can we have you come? Yeah, so it has to be like this.
Oh, okay.
But thank you so much for having us, because I think the number one takeaway from this today is that building awareness is the most important.
The first question I have for you guys, right, is like, I can't really see the line between domestic violence and disciplining your children. For example, right, I was brought up getting beaten up by my dad with so many things. So in my head, it becomes domestic violence if it continues for a very long time. Instead of one time, you get what I mean? Am I right? Or rather, the question is, what is the line between domestic violence and disciplining your children?
For disciplining children, it's really important for parents to know, that it is really to teach and to guide them. And of course, it is important for parents to discipline the children. It crosses the line when it is sustained and it is belittling them, of course, causing injury, not only physical injury, but also emotional injury. And disrespecting the child. Yeah. And actually, there are many other alternatives rather than to use physical
Violence,
punishment. Yeah. So, the parents out there, I encourage you all to go for maybe a workshop on positive reinforcement, right? Instead of using physical punishment, there are many other better and safer alternatives to teach and guide your children.
Yeah. Paige, as a mother, do you think there's a good reason to beat your children?
For me, the answer would be no. I think there are other ways that we can guide and discipline. And I do know, because I was a bit of a tiger mom here in Singapore, my kids going through the local school system, and I had incredibly high expectations of them. And if they brought home 98 out of 100, I was disappointed. Why did you miss the 2 points?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's an Asian household.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that partly too, I think that if you recognize what your kids are good at and you have the high expectation, they want to perform and they want to do well. It's having the close relationship with the child. I think using physical forms of punishment is probably not the best way. I grew up with a dad who I remember one time I told a little white lie, and he had this piece. It looked like a hand. It was a wooden thing, and on it said "Dad's helping hand." And I remember him hitting me with that. And I just also remember kind of having a moment that if I have children, I'm never going to hit them. What did that do? How did that teach me not to do a little white lie? No.
Yeah.
So I think the physical form of punishment doesn't really train the child to do right. It trains the child to live in fear. And we need to use other mechanisms in order to encourage kind of positive reinforcement with the child.
Yeah.
And as far as domestic abuse, I think the line can be almost when the physical abuse is used to control someone.
I guess for the mental and emotional aspect, sometimes it's not as obvious. So my next question would be like, what patterns do you guys observe, maybe starting with you, Lorraine, that abusers usually carry?
So in couple relationships, usually it's a pattern of power and control that one party asserts to the other. And there is power imbalance between the couple, such that one is very domineering and the other feels very oppressed and like she's walking on eggshells, not sure what to do.
Yeah.
So this pattern, if the abuser has no awareness or insight that this is an abusive pattern or abusive behavior, then he or she will carry it into other relationships. Yeah, and just like have more victim survivors along the way. Yeah, from one relationship to the next.
Do you think so for example, alcohol, do you think this is something that these abusers carry? Because in my head, usually it might be assumption and I might be wrong, right? It is caused by a few things. Number one, someone who's a very heavy drinker who needs to drink every day, goes home not being himself or herself, starts abusing someone. Number two is they are probably not very privileged. They are very angry about this situation, want to vent their anger on someone. They choose to abuse someone. Like, is this a common pattern in your experience?
So alcohol is a risk factor, but it may not be the cause, right? So any form of addiction, whether is it to alcohol or pornography or other types of substance abuse, right, is usually a coping mechanism. So what this coping mechanism does is that it makes the person be able to like try to cope with his or her problems at the start. But it is a risk factor because then when you're drunk, then you may have you may get very angry and you may have abusive behaviors. So while we can address the risk factors, but so if let's say there's some alcohol addiction, then the abuser has to seek treatment for it, in order to get better.
But also, one thing you listed two, but the third one would be if you grow up with it. If you grow up being abused, it's highly likely that
You continue.
it's going to be a pattern that continues.
Yeah.
So different programs that we offer and different things Singapore offers. I mean, there are ways for men to seek help. But if you've been abused, I think there is a higher chance that you are going to be an abuser.
I can see that.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say something that Lorraine mentioned was very interesting. You said that if the abuser is not aware that they are abusing, then this can continue to perpetuate in future relationships. So in most of the cases, are they aware that this is abusive, like unacceptable, abnormal behavior to the rest of the world? Or are most cases that you've seen, you just don't know, right? Because like Paige said, if you grew up with it, you grow up thinking this is normal, right? And then you just bring it forward in your adult life as well. So in most cases, are the abusers aware that this is abnormal behavior?
There are those who have not much insight that it is abusive behavior. Perhaps they don't have they maybe didn't go for counseling to be psychoeducated about, this is abusive behavior. So if they have no insight, then they won't change. But that we have programs to work with the abusers to help them have this awareness and insight, and that they can change.
And I'm gonna assume it's a condition. I don't want to say mental illness, but it's a mental condition that they carry where their coping mechanism is beating something or someone.
It may not be like a mental condition. So it's a behavior.
It's learned.
And it is a learned behavior. So, whether like what Paige said earlier, whether they learned it because, they grew up in such a household, right? So, but they have to know that they have choices, right? So, when there's conflict, when there's arguments, right, in a relationship, and it's normal to have arguments in a relationship, right? How do you resolve that? Do you, resolve that by just, wanting to force, your opinion, and then if you don't get the buy-in, you use your fist to communicate instead of, having a dialogue, right? So there are definitely other alternatives, better alternatives, safer alternatives to resolve conflict.
They can also be emotional. It can be screaming and belittling. It doesn't have to be a physical slap. You can break someone down verbally.
So in my head, right, if let's say, this is from my experience, I have had like arguments with my exes or whatever, and where we do belittle each other, like we call each other names. So then when do I go okay, it's time to report this guy or girl because I feel like it's domestic abuse. Because then usually the next day we just forget about it, right? Because it was just a fight. But yeah, so when do I start reporting?
Yeah. So if the pattern of abuse is sustained and, one party is always having the power and control over the other party. So one is more empowered and the other is totally disempowered.
Tends to be one-sided.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Not
one-sided.
you and your girlfriend having a fight, and then you're okay the next day.
Yeah.
It's the
So it's
the abuser.
I won in that sense. But then like my girlfriend is actually going through something very deeply and I don't know.
Like, I don't think you even win in this situation because your power asymmetry is so large that she already lost before it began.
Yeah, she's not fighting back
Yeah.
probably
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah.
She's lost her will. She's been beaten down so badly, either mentally or emotionally or physically, that she's broken.
Yeah.
And he continues, and the abuser continues to.
Yeah.
Break
So it's
her
like
down.
So
every
she
day
feels totally powerless.
yeah.
And yeah,
So it's
she
like every
doesn't.
day I just call her like, you stupid, and then she, okay.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Which enables the whole cycle as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So which brings me to my next question, right? So as Singaporeans who live in HDBs, we often do hear these types of things happening, right? We do hear children shouting when they are getting beaten up, and we do hear like couples fighting as well. Do you think in Singapore, based on your experience, does society still treat like domestic violence as a family issue rather than a crime?
Well, there has been a lot of public education about domestic violence to raise awareness about domestic violence, what it is, and that it is a crime. Yeah, and it is not a private matter. However, there has been some progress. Yeah. However, there is some lingering mindset, with some families that it is a private matter. Yeah. And that, we should not interfere because,
Because I'm there. Like I don't think I should interfere because it's really not our problem, and we were built to.
Yeah. So okay, if you see two people on the street fighting, will you do something? Will you intervene? Will you call the police?
If it's two men, I won't. If it's a man and a woman and the woman's getting beaten up, I will interfere, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will protect the woman,
I've
yes.
actually seen this before. Like, this was years ago at Orchard. I won't mention where, but basically there's this guy, I think they're a couple, and he was like 195, like two models, huge. And he was just grabbing her, like they were clearly in an argument, and he was just grabbing her like his hand was like this. And she's super slim, like small, right, in comparison. And he was just yelling at her, like saying nasty stuff, like no one was doing anything. Obviously, I won't go there and physically stop him because he could throw me to the ground in 2 seconds. But I did call the police.
Right. And thank you for that. Yeah, because when you did the right thing, you called the police, and in a way you had intervened and you helped, this couple. So, and that is in public, you can see. What if it happens behind closed doors, right?
Yeah.
So when we don't see it, but the laws are there. We were talking about that domestic violence is a crime, right? So like if it happens outdoors, if two people are fighting, you would call the police, and the police would come, and they can be possibly arrested.
Yeah.
So if it happens at home, what is the difference? It is actually the same thing. That a former judge once said that the law does not stop at the door of the family home, right? So don't think that you can do these things in private. Yeah. It is wrong.
But sometimes or you have a sense, someone, maybe a friend, a coworker, you have a sense that something's not right.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important for everybody watching and listening to know that you can actually have a safe intervention without being confrontational.
Yeah.
You can go to whoever's being abused and try to seek them out privately. Let them know that there are resources where they can seek help. And I think the most important thing is for them to know I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And that there are options, because we often may have a sense that something's going on,
Yeah.
But we're like, it's a private matter.
Yeah.
It's between them.
Yeah.
But abuse thrives in silence. So when we don't say anything, it just makes it worse.
I don't think it's wrong though in thinking that it is a private matter, because I mean I would imagine if, let's say, I call the cops on somebody else's home and turns out it wasn't anything, and now I look like a very capable guy, or like I look like I just want to get involved in this.
I think like you being perceived as nosy is a small trade-off for the potential of
The danger,
saving
yeah.
someone from
Absolutely.
being beaten to death, and I think that's where it's problematic also, because in this situation that I described earlier, actually the girl is like an acquaintance of mine, was an acquaintance of mine. And even when it's reported, like she had physical marks to show for it, right? But then she thought that it was normal, or being together with him made her think that this is normal. And so it wasn't reported. It was never reported, and it still isn't, probably until this day, So where does like the woman charter stand in this? What's the position on domestic abuse?
Maybe I'll start with sharing a bit about what the Women's Charter is.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we do get calls at SCWO. Some of the callers think that we are the Women's Charter.
Okay.
So we explain to them that it is not an organization, but it is a piece of legislation around family matters, which includes protection against domestic violence. So the Women's Charter was enacted in 1961. Yeah, so it's a long time, almost more than 60 years ago. And of course, it has been updated, several times. And the latest was in 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, where they added more laws to enhance the protection of victim survivors. So I'll just share a few. I think one of it that was very important was it explicitly states that emotional and psychological abuse is violence, and it is considered a crime.
Yeah.
And also, aside from the personal protection order that one can apply for, the court can also issue stay-away orders, no communication order or no contact order, and emergency orders as well. So emergency orders are protection orders that can be issued on the spot at the scene, by authorized personnel. So there is a divert team. It's spelled DVERT, which is Domestic Violence Emergency Response Team, that comprises of the police, social worker, and also maybe like child protection services. And it is 24/7. So they can go to the homes, and when there's a report, and issue an emergency protection order. Yeah.
So can I ask, like, how does this work in reality? Let's say there's a case where a father is physically abusive towards the wife, which is the mother of his children, and he's also physically abusive to the kids at home. Let's say how does someone action this avert team? And if they action it, is it immediately that the team rushes down like the police, right? Like, do they come in like 5 minutes? Can someone physically stop this guy from throwing glass at his kids, for example? How does it work when this is actually action? So I guess the question is in two parts. One, how do people action it? Because I think a lot of people may not even know of the existence of this, which is great that we're talking about it. And then what happens after?
Okay, so it's two ways. One is they can make a call to the police, and the police can activate the divert team.
Okay.
And another way is they can call the NAVH, which is short for National Anti-Violence National Anti-Violence and Sexual Harassment Helpline. And that's 24/7 as well. And they can just report it there, and the helpliners, they're all trained to triage the case, and if it's high risk, they can activate the divert team.
Okay. And is it as easy as rather in a real life situation?
Yeah.
Who should they call? Police or this? Because in my head, police. Not right away. This is the
I think
fastest.
that's the easiest.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes,
that's
because
the
people
easiest.
remember the 999 number, right?
Yeah. And does the police then decide, like, is this domestic violence or what it is?
I think the police will respond.
Okay.
And at the scene, they will then assess the situation and will decide whether to activate the divert team.
Okay, yeah, no, that's great information. Because, I guess if let's say I'm a bystander, right? Then,
Yeah. You can call the police.
yeah, I can call the police
Like,
or I
they're
can
not
call that.
my
Yeah.
They're not going to
Yes.
know you're the one that turned them in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then what would happen after that is if they see if there's an issue, then the woman and the children could potentially be sent to Star Shelter. And it's a facility that where the location is not disclosed. So the man cannot come and do any harm.
Yeah.
And we would offer counseling, and it's where a lot of work tries to happen so that many want to rebuild, some want to say, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So it just gives her a safe space.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit more on the survivors, right? So if let's say Janice is going through domestic violence, as a friend, I would just tell her, just leave. That is the easiest way to settle this problem, right? But I guess because we are not experiencing it, and I would like to assume the reason why they don't leave is because they're afraid of the violence that might come after that, should they make the decision to either divorce this guy or leave this guy, right? And based on your experience, meeting these survivors, what are some of the main reasons on why they are afraid to leave?
Why are they trapped in this relationship?
Yeah, or why are they, or rather, do they actually know their choices? Like, they know they have the choice, right? So why are they not taking action?
Yeah. Yeah, there are many reasons. And you just shared one reason, which is they're afraid of the repercussions when they leave, right? What's going to happen to them. So I think the reasons can be broadly categorized into three: love, hope, and fear. So there is love. They have a history together. They may have children together. They may have good times together. And the abuser may be good to them at times. And there's nothing wrong for a wife to love her husband or couples to love each other.
Yeah.
Right. But the question is, you can still love the person, but safely, right? How do you love the person safely? Hope, right? So there could be hope that he will change. The abuser this will be the last time. And the abuser may make promises that, I'll go for counseling, I'll go for treatment for my addiction, and I will stop, right? So, and there's really nothing wrong to have hope that, maybe it will stop. And finally, fear, right? So fear of many things, right? What will happen? Will he hunt me down, right? And the abuser may threaten that, if you leave me, I will hunt you down, I will hurt you, I will commit suicide, I'll hurt our children, or, and target any of her loved ones, her parents, her siblings. Yeah, so there's a lot of fear that he may actually carry out those threats. Yeah.
Also financial dependence.
Yes.
Yeah.
So often they are fearful because they think, if I leave, how am I going to pay the rent?
I'm going to lose my whole life.
Exactly.
Literally.
And so they're financially dependent on someone who's abusing them, and they continue to take it because they don't see that they have another option.
Can I share something? Like, I actually sadly know quite a few very powerful, very capable, very financially independent, like power women who are in or who have been in domestic abuse / violence situations. So it's not that these women are not intellectual. It's not that they're not capable. Sometimes the more capable they are, the more emotionally dependent they are on someone else at home, right? And so with this whole concept of like bystanders or people who don't really understand saying, oh, you're not dumb. If he's hitting you, just leave. If he calls you nasty words, then just walk out the door, right? I mean, you have money, you have a career. And I think so many women just feel so much shame. It's like, how can I be the CEO of this multi-million-dollar company? How will people view me if they know that at home I'm being talked to as less than trash, right? And so this whole idea of, if you don't like it, if it's bad, just leave. How harmful do you think this mindset is, Paige? And why do you think it persists from the external view?
I think that's an incredibly difficult question. I do think, as you said, the emotional dependence can be enormous. But beyond that fear of failure, that fear of looking foolish for being in such a abusive relationship, a strong woman may say, I'm just going to keep taking this because I don't want to air my dirty laundry.
Yeah.
I don't want it all to get out there.
Yeah.
And I think it would ultimately take probably something drastic or a friend like you to come in, or more conversations like this where we raise awareness and we talk about the fact that these things do happen. And it doesn't make you a lesser person.
Yeah.
If you leave a relationship, you are not a failure. You're actually courageous.
Yeah.
You know, you're standing for something important and taking care of your safety, your emotional safety, your children's safety, for yourself as well as for future generations. So I don't think it's an easy answer.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, I mean, on that topic, right? I also think it's cultural norms, right? So if I imagine myself as I was raised in a Malay family, right? And I've seen like my family members telling the woman like, hey, like, you know, like stay with your husband, he's gonna provide this and that. Or if you're leaving him, then who's gonna provide for you? Like how you gonna afford this and that? I honestly think like it is such bad advice, and the only way to solve this, right? If honestly might be a bit of a dismissive comment, but I think all women should just make your own money. Make your own
I
money.
agree with that.
Yeah, it's like I think it solves half the problem, right?
But some women want to stay home with the children.
That's also a problem.
I
Why
mean,
is
just
that a
because you
problem?
stay home with your children doesn't mean that you can't have assets, right?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't mean everything has to be in your partner's name. So I do think that there are ways that women can protect themselves financially, even when nothing is wrong.
But it also doesn't mean that you're not contributing. You're just not drawing a salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing
Yeah.
important work.
Yeah.
You're running the house. You're
Yeah.
running the children. Perhaps you don't have a helper there to, I mean, you're doing everything. You're not getting paid.
Yeah. That's a non-financial contribution, because if you're not cooking for the kids, you're not driving the kids to school, like as the mom, right? The husband will have to pay for all this stuff if you're not doing it, right? So just because it's non-financial doesn't mean it's any less of a contribution to the household.
But I think for generations, women have been taught to endure. Women have been taught to be silent,
Yeah.
you know, and not to.
And that's why I think, that's why I say that is a problem also, because I feel like when women stay home, even though it's their choice to take care of the kids and everything, men get this sense of huge lifted ego that he is the one controlling the house. And because I am working, that's the reason why you can stay home and you can take care of the kids. And that's how the abuse kind of starts, because their ego is kind of elevated, right?
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people who are not as privileged to go and find a job or whatever it is, or have enough cash to hire a nanny. But I think, like what Jenny said, I think protecting yourself financially is a very important thing. And as a man, I also agree. Like, I have seen my friends who don't want to divorce, not because of domestic violence, but because of so many other things. It has like happened so many times. But the main thing is always, I don't know
Money.
if I can afford.
Money.
Yeah. It's always there. And
Yeah. So I think if the relationship is healthy, then it's fine, right?
Yeah.
She has a choice whether she wants to choose to work or she wants to choose to stay at home to take care of the children and the household.
Yeah.
So I think in Singapore, many women have, many have that choice, are lucky enough to have that choice, right? So, but when violence happens or the marriage turns sour and there's domestic violence, and if you feel like you need to leave the relationship to be safe, there is financial support available. Like, so for example, if they first come to the shelter or they go to a family service center to share their case, what's happening at home, with a social worker, the social worker can help them to get some financial support. And if they haven't been working for a long time, right, they can go for some courses, right, to help them get back on their feet, to rebuild their lives again, free from violence.
is there a way to protect yourself from domestic violence at the start of the relationship?
You mean before anything goes wrong?
Yeah, before anything goes wrong. Like, because in my head right now, it's like, why would you wait for that to happen? Because it might or might not happen, you know?
But don't you think in the dating probably there's some red flag.
Signs. Yeah. Which
Right.
actually was our next question. Like,
Yeah. Our next question was actually like, how can people recognize red flags, including early red flags, and intervene safely? Either me being the person in the situation or even as a friend. If I see my friend dating someone who clearly is exhibiting some suspicious looking behavior or red flags, what are some signs, do you think, of early red flags?
I guess you can answer this in a Singaporean context, so then people can relate to this. Yeah.
I think we can use the ACT approach, where A stands for having awareness, recognizing the signs and symptoms, and then C, to connect with just maybe one other person, a friend or something, to share with the person what's happening. Yeah, and then T can stand for you take action for safety, right? So back to the awareness, what are some of the signs? If it's physical injury, you could see some bruises, some scratches, right? Or the clothing that she's wearing, if usually she doesn't wear long sleeve and she's not all covered up, but she starts wearing these kind of covered up clothes, could be covering a scar, or even like on the face, whether she's wearing dark glasses and using a face mask to cover bruises. And so that's the physical aspect. If there's emotional and psychological abuse as well, she will probably be always like maybe checking on her time, that she's going home punctually, and she doesn't have money because her finances are being controlled. Yeah. So recognizing these signs and symptoms, being aware.
But they could also try to control the friends.
Yeah.
They could track you.
Isolation.
Monitor like where you are and who you're with, and ask, why were you here? Why were you there?
Yeah.
So it's becoming more and more controlling of everything about you.
Yeah.
I think those are like red flags that we all see.
Yeah.
And the problem is most of us, again, see those as private matters. So we're always very reticent to get involved.
Yeah. You know what? In a Singapore context, I just thought about it, right? The men who always fight at clubs when they are drunk, I think that's one sign. Like if let's say he or she has a girlfriend, right? I'll be like, yo, like this guy has a anger issue. Like it might turn to you, or rather, instead of, I think it builds up, right? So they get drunk first, they fight with people, but at home they'll start throwing stuff first.
Yeah.
A lot of I had friends who punch TVs, punch like cupboards and everything. I think that's a huge sign for everybody should take note of. When they are angry, what do they punch? What do they do when they are angry, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to become the punching bag.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think sooner or later, when they know that you are the one causing their frustration, they're gonna take it out on you.
Or even if you're not causing the frustration, they're still going to take it out on you. And if someone's response to not being happy about something is punching something or someone, that's not normal, guys. Run. Call 999.
Yeah, 100%. And we were talking a lot about like women survivors, right? I just want to ask, like, are there men survivors as well?
Yes, definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
there are. Yeah, there are men who are being abused as well.
Because honestly, right, if you ask me, right, like, no matter how much my wife should I ever have one, beats me, right? Like, I will never beat my wife back.
Really?
I will never. My dad never even taught me not to hit a woman. But just imagining punching a woman, that is extremely unfair. I mean, of course, there are some cases where I can't say where maybe she's my size, she's stronger than me or whatever it is. Even then, it's so hard for me to punch a woman back. And now putting it in a man's perspective, I understand the woman's perspective of why it's so scary to go and report, right? So yeah, are there a lot of men survivors in Singapore?
We don't know the numbers, not because there aren't many, but I think their help-seeking behavior is different from women.
Okay.
Because, if you're talking about stigma, right? I think there's more of a stigma to say that, my wife beat me. So if they seek help, they may just say that, I'm homeless, right? And they may go to seek a homeless shelter and stay in a homeless shelter for a while. Yeah, rather than, say that I'm getting beaten up by my wife at home. Yeah, so it's the stigma and that's why, it's great we're talking about this as well.
I would guess that it's even more underreported than for women, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would think so because I can imagine what the bros are saying.
No, I mean, even without the bros, imagine you call the helpline and you're like, my wife is beating me up. She called me these nasty names. I don't think it's intuitive for men to ask for help. Do you think so?
So that's why I'm thinking what's the line here? Do I wait until she throws a glass at me? What?
But
Even
maybe
then,
maybe there are fewer women doing it though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at
so too.
Stats the personal protection orders that are applied in through the Family Justice Court, 75% of the applicants are female. Yeah, so it's still majority. But we still don't know whether it's because the men are just not seeking help. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, I do you think when men report, right? Do you think they look at the situation differently, or do they look at it, or do they look at it the same? Because for me, in my head, I'm like, you can protect yourself, right? As a guy, do they investigate the situation more for the male survivors versus the female survivors, or is it a fair thing where we're gonna treat this situation the same?
Do we know the answer? I don't think we know the answer, do we?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, what about you? I mean, you shared that you will not hit a woman. Which is, I mean, it's actually that's when you hit when any of us hit someone weaker than us, we're actually bullies, right? We're actually
100%.
we are cowards actually, because why do we pick someone weaker than us, right? So, like you said, that you will never do that, and that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But if you are, will you protect yourself? How will you protect yourself?
I think as a guy, right, we have more confidence in running away from home. That's first, right? Because a woman runs away from home, where she gonna live? It's so dangerous for a woman, right? To live on the streets. For a man to live on the streets, I think that's much safer. Of course, it's not advisable. But, and I think that's why a lot of men don't report. Because they know, or rather they have more confidence to settle the situation, such as running away from home, locking my girlfriend out of the house. It's so much more possible for men to do that.
Plus, they tend to have more financial resolve.
That's one, or we just have more confidence, right? It's just these types of things, So, talking about these shelters, right? And that's now what I was very interested about is that you guys provide financial aid to these survivors. What sorts of aids is that? So for example, in a situation where, like we mentioned, the guy is the sole breadwinner, maybe one kid, and his wife is the survivor, and goes to you guys and say, hey, if I leave this marriage, I totally have no money at all. Because then as a survivor, in my head, I'm like, if I'm coming to you guys, I would expect you guys to take care of me for a very long time, right? Until I can get back on my feet. So what sorts of aids do you guys provide, and what's the limit? Or is there a limit?
Yeah. So SCWO runs the Star Shelter that provides safe accommodation and services to help women and children heal from the trauma of violence and rebuild their lives free from violence. So we are one of 4 shelters in Singapore that provides this service. And at the Star Shelter, we take a holistic approach in helping our survivors. So, you can reference the Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, right? The pyramid, right? Starting from the most basic needs at the bottom, which is safety, so safe accommodation. The location of the shelter is not known to the public. Food, clothing, daily necessities, toiletries. They can, many of them actually just come with no belongings because they have to escape from the situation.
They left everything at home and they just got out.
Yeah. That is scary.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it happens more often than not. And then moving up to their practical needs, right? What do they need? Do they need to look for a job? Do they need childcare arrangements when they go to work? Do they need to file for a protection order? Do they need to speak to a lawyer? And financial assistance also. We do have some financial assistance to help tie them through this period. And
Even skill training,
yes, so
Okay.
counseling.
yeah.
We as you said, we try to help everybody rebuild. And it's not an indefinite space. I mean, it's not as though you can just come and live there forever. We really, once the women are there, we just try to bring them back to a safe space so that they can leave and rebuild. But we try to give them a kit that's healthy and strong so that they are able to leave and start anew. And sometimes they go back and the husband will go through counseling and then they try to rebuild the family. So it's not always that she's left and the family doesn't stay together. We try to honor what the woman wants. And if it means counseling with the man, that can happen too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there like a timeline of how long they can be there?
Average, they stay about 6 months with us.
Okay.
However, there are cases where it's more than a year, even 2 years. Yeah, because sometimes the divorce takes a long time, the whole process, right? Or the process even for her to decide whether she wants to try to reconcile safely, of course, or she wants to divorce. Yeah. So, but if there's valid reason why she needs to continue to stay, yeah, she can stay.
And,
If you don't mind, this is a perfect segue into talking about In Her Stride, because if we're doing this, it costs money, right?
Yeah.
So for those people who are listening who feel, that they would like to support Star Shelter and SCWO, $50 funds a therapy session. $100 funds 2 workshops for skills and stability. $350 covers a week worth of meals for 20 survivors. And it's not just numbers, because each of these represent a woman and child that we're bringing to safety, to actually have hope. So the small amounts add up to do great things.
Yeah. I would think that it costs a lot of money.
It does.
I mean, the facility alone will cost so much money, and to put these people through courses and everything will cost a lot of money. But yes, I will leave the link in the description box below if they want to donate lah.
Now that we're talking about In Her Stride, right? Can you share some like real life examples? I mean, obviously there's confidentiality, but can you share some examples of how the fund transforms these women's lives? Like, for example, Lorraine, you were talking about earlier, most women on average stay for about 6 months. How does the fund help them? Like, what do you see, apart from what Paige has shared, and you talked about holistically, right? There are courses, there are skills, and obviously there's the financial help, there's a roof over your head. What I can ask is like, what was one of the most impactful situations that you recall from your memory?
Every step is important, in that journey. And the impact is made in many ways. So like adding on to what Paige has shared, aside from their basic needs, their practical needs, definitely their emotional needs as well. So we have counseling, we have art therapy, support groups, and so on. And finally, when we come to that apex, right, their self-fulfillment needs, right? What do they want for themselves? What are their dreams, their goals for themselves, personally or at their work? And what are their dreams and goals for their children as well? Yeah, so, the workshops. So we definitely don't work alone. We have many kind volunteers out there from our member organizations and also from corporates and members of the public, right, who volunteer with us to run workshops to empower them. So it could be any upskilling workshop, that will help them in their work. It could be communication skills. It could be English language skills, because about a third of them are migrant wives as well. And if they struggle with English, their job options will be very limited. So English classes for them. And also we have a lot of recreational activities also, and that is also part of the healing. They go to the various places of interest in Singapore, whether it's the zoo, and children never get tired of going to the zoo, and of course many other places. So this helps the mothers bond with their children more. And finally, it's also the community of support at the shelter. So they, when they first come to shelter, of course, they don't know one another, but, from strangers, they become friends and they become sisters. Sometimes they just call each other sis, because this is their community of support. And even when they leave the shelter, many of them still keep in touch and support one another through the journey.
Yeah.
And we keep in touch with them as well. So all the activities, we invite our former residents to continue to participate, especially the outings, right? Because we get sponsors from corporates to take them to concerts, to ballet, and so on.
But I think for having those survivors who have gone through, left, and then they come back almost as mentors to the women who are going through the challenges. I mean, there's no specific case, but just watching women come in, not so strong, not so confident, and leave, able to either return to the marriage with a healthy mindset and a healthier husband, or going out on her own with the children. I think that is what just continues to drive us, because it works. And they come out stronger. And SCWO and Star Shelter is able to build kind of a safety net for them to land in, and then they can fly on.
Do most of the survivors, right, because you guys offer so many things, right? And where do these people fall under the most? For example, is it more of therapy, or is it more of I need to build myself financially?
So it's both.
It's both, okay.
The needs are vast.
Okay.
The needs are vast.
Yeah.
I think from what the both of you shared, what's so powerful to me is just the fact that the community aspect of knowing you are not alone. Because I think when it comes to domestic abuse specifically, you're so isolated when you're in that situation that you're not even thinking about the rest of the world. You're just thinking I am the only person going through this. How am I going to survive this? So I think that, plus you talked about recreational activities like ballet, and I'm sure you guys have a whole bunch of other activities of just doing something for yourself again as a woman.
Yeah.
It could be drawing something, it could be watching a show, it could be whatever. When you've lived under and for someone for so long, I think that's massively empowering for women as well. But when it comes to fundraising for In Her Stride, how is the landscape in Singapore? Do you think that donors sometimes care more about prestige causes like arts, education, versus a cause like women escaping abuse?
I think that giving is normally driven by awareness and passion.
Yeah.
And because domestic violence is something that we really don't feel an urgency about unless it touches someone close to us.
Yeah.
It's hard, right?
Yeah.
And so I think for us to have these conversations today, for people to maybe hear, gosh, there are other people out there just like me. There are options. It will give them courage perhaps to come forward. They won't feel invisible. And for those people who do have a benevolent heart, maybe they will think, gosh, I can give $50. I can cover a counseling session, and maybe they will start to understand the urgency, the awareness that we're building will only help with the fundraising for In Her Stride. And In Her Stride, exactly, I just wanted to talk a little bit about exactly what this is. We're running the campaign through the end of January. We have a goal of $72,000, which is an enormous number.
Where are you at now?
Very nervous.
Where are you at now?
What, 1,000, 2,000?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Did the campaign
we just kicked off.
start?
Okay.
We just kicked off.
I'm like,
Just
oh my God.
started.
But Elaine, Lorraine, tell everybody what it stands for.
Yeah, so we started this In Her Stride campaign to raise awareness about domestic violence. So we are, during this period, because you know that in November, there is the International day of elimination of violence against women and children.
What day? November.
Yeah. So I think it's 25th
November 25th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this campaign will start now all the way till November, and I think we will end of the year or sometime in January. Yeah. So
And it's a 250% tax deduction. So when you give, you are also able to get a tax deduction. For anyone out there who's thinking about giving, please do.
Honestly, I think that's the most attractive part.
Yeah.
For a lot of
For a lot of people.
But the
like,
Singapore
okay.
government is very generous that way. So
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
get
yeah.
50, it's going to be matched. 250. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's very easy for people to find out more about SCWO. They can follow on our social media. It's at the SCWO, or they can go to our website, or they can go directly to giving.sg and search for In Her Stride, and then pledge a massive amount to help SCWO and the shelter.
hopefully $72,000.
Yes. No, that's why I asked where you guys now. I'm on the site now. I'm like, okay, I'll just make a transfer later. Like, I feel like, okay, right now where society is much more sensitive. And when I got the call to do this, I'm like, actually, why is nobody talking about it?
Yeah.
Like, especially in today's generation, right? Where, again, everyone is so much more sensitive to a lot of things. And especially the younger generation is so much more sensitive. I'm like, this should be talked about more.
Yeah.
And I guess, of course, it isn't. Because then the survivors are also afraid to talk about it.
Right. But also, if it hasn't touched you, then you're not thinking about it.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Like if you like the ballet and you're going to the ballet, you're thinking about it. If you want to support the zoo and you're going to the zoo, you're thinking about it. But you don't really think about domestic violence
Yeah.
unless it touches somebody you know.
And I guess domestic violence is something not to be talked about on social media. Or rather, it's like, now if let's say I am a survivor, will I open TikTok and go like, my husband is beating me?
Of course not.
Yeah. But then if let's say I break up with someone and he or she treated me like shit, I will open TikTok and like, I dated this guy and he treated me like he made me pay for dinner.
Can I also just say something? I feel like now with social media, I mean, Paige talks a lot about awareness, right? Like it all starts from awareness. But I feel like in this day and age, when you actually go on TikTok, let's say I'm a survivor. My ex-husband was physically and emotionally abusing me. I went for therapy. Now I'm finally empowered to talk about it. It's so vulnerable for me to talk about it. And then let's say I go on social media and talk about it. There'll be a barrage of comments from a group of people who are like, oh, you're just making up this story for a clout.
Yeah.
You're just a performative female or whatever labels they have these days, right? And I find that it's so hard for people to speak about important things because when it's something this sensitive and nuanced and you go on a public platform to talk about it, of course, if you put it out there, people can react however they want, right? But I feel like that's part of the reason why people don't talk about it because A, it's probably going to haunt you for the rest of your life. And then B, when you talk about it, people belittle your experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's even more damaging. So a lot of people choose to heal in private and like, I can get back my life. That's beyond what I ever hoped for, you know? So I think that's part of the reason why a lot of survivors maybe don't speak up about it, even if it's something in the past.
Yeah. But now with SCWO, it's great information that they have proper help.
Yeah.
You know?
And we actually need to talk about it. Because it is, so important that they speak up. I mean, survivors, I understand what you're saying about like they may get a backlash and victim blaming. So then, well, you know, I invite everyone, you know, the audience as well to join us, you know, in raising awareness about domestic violence. And, you know, together, you know, it's definitely a whole of society approach, right? In fact, the shelter, we definitely don't work alone. There is a whole ecosystem of support out there from the family service centers, the family justice court, the hospitals, child protection service, adult protection service, and the list goes on. So it's really, and as bystanders, you know, that they can do so much as well. Break that silence, speak up, right? Whether you're a bystander or you know someone or you are experiencing violence. Just reach out, get help, and talk about it.
Yeah. And I guess I need to ask this for the people who are not that privileged to afford a donation. Is there any other things that they can do, like volunteer or...
Yes. Yep. That they can contact SCWO and just let us know, what they're interested in volunteering for. It could be tuition for the children, right? Or we also need babysitters. And
We definitely have something for you.
Yes.
If you want to
Okay.
volunteer, if you want to help us, we definitely have a role for you. And also, before I was flippant saying a big donation, but honestly, $25 helps.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
nothing is too small.
And so you said kids. So if let's say now Janice has kids and Janice appear at SCWO with the kids, you guys take the kids in as well.
yes, we take
Okay.
both the women and the children.
And what if
Yeah.
the kids has school? Do they are they allowed to go to school or?
Yes, so we will assess the situation. If the child it's safe for the child to still go to school.
Yeah.
And we will have a safety plan around that. So the schools will be informed about the case so that, if the abuser comes and look for the children, he will not be allowed in. Yeah. So alternatively, if it's definitely not safe for the child to go back to the same school, then we can do a transfer to another school where he or she
We
will
have
be
to
safe.
look at every situation, every
Yeah.
family
Yeah.
as a single case because there's no one size fits all in all of this.
Yeah. Actually, my last question for you guys is for bystanders, what needs immediate change? But I think I can answer that question for you guys. Is as a bystander myself, now that I have learned, if I really hear this kind of thing, I'm just gonna call the police.
Yes.
Just call.
Yes.
Even if it doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
And you hear a woman screaming, a kid screaming, like multiple times asking their parents to stop. I think that in itself is the parents is going through something. That's why they're taking it out on the child.
Yes.
Just call the police. Yeah.
Yes.
And also if you have friends and you suspect that something is going
Yeah.
on, taking them aside, having a private conversation, letting them know about helplines so they understand that they're seen and they're heard and you care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That will never help and that will never hurt.
Yeah. I think on that as well, do you guys actually have the stats on like how many percentage of families, because we're talking about domestic violence, whether kids are involved or not, how many percentage of families are actually involved in domestic violence? Because I feel like the stats in reality are way higher than what the average person might think.
Yeah, we don't really know the prevalence of domestic violence. We hope to do a study sometime in the near future, hopefully, to really find out what is the extent of domestic violence. Because, you're right, there is a lot of underreporting. Yeah, so the last comprehensive study was done quite about 10 years ago. So I think, hopefully we can, secure some funds to do another comprehensive study and find out the actual prevalence.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's much lower than we think.
Yeah, hopefully. But I guess the best thing you can do as a friend is if you feel like your girlfriend's a little off, just pull them aside and ask. Like you said, it never hurts to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And with that, we actually come to the end. I have no more questions, but I would like to drive everybody watching this. I have left the link in the description box below.
Wonderful.
Please, $25 goes a long way. Instead of buying that drink, please just donate. And again, as Paige mentioned, 250% off your tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the more reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So just step up and help us rebuild lives with dignity.
I agree. Call the police. Hear anything, call the police. Anything, just call the police.
Yeah, and if you feel like something is off, pull your friend aside and have that conversation.
Yeah, and you know now for a fact that SCWO will be open to help. Or they will definitely help. Or maybe you can even bring your friend to SCWO. Just like, hey, you want to meet for a coffee? Bluff them, bring them to SCWO. I would do that, right? If my friend
We're
is
going to
so
set
lost
up a
into
coffee
it.
shop now, huh?
Yeah, no, like if my friend is so lost into it, and it's so like, I'm like, nah. I'm just, hey, let's have coffee.
Yeah.
soon.
Idea.
Yeah,
Never
just
say
bring-
never.
Yeah.
We have nice kopi and cafe latte around
Yes,
our area.
got art classes also.
And ballet shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, we've come to the end of this episode. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Paige. Thank you, Lorraine. To the people
for
watching,
having us.
again, I've left all information in the link in the description box below. Please donate, help whatever you can. If you guys have anyone you'd like us to invite or anything you'd like us to talk about, let us know in the comment section below. If not, we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having
No
us.
worries.
Thank you.
Thank you.